Hello everyone, it's Nicky Batgirl D'Angelo for another 5 for the CM. Well, he's now the Senior Community Manager. I'm going to take the opportunity here to answer one of the questions that was given me. How do I set up my HOTAS system, my X55? The first thing that you do is you go into options here, click on key binding, and then move over to HOTAS. And in the advanced controls section, you're going to go over to control, advanced controls, and you're going to click on the X55 or whatever joystick you have. It's going to give you this screen. You then have to map the different controls to different joysticks. Joystick 0 being your stick, joystick 1 being your throttle, and then import. Now this will put the configuration into the X-axis being your yaw and the Y-axis being your pitch. I don't like that, so I come in here, I click on it, and I change it, and we are going to just do that a couple of times and just showing you how to do that. Click on the axis, hold the axis in the position until it locks, and then slide down to the next one. And you do the same thing here. Now this is just if you liked it to fly like a traditional aircraft. Now there are some physiological things that aren't modeled that may be in the future. The human body is not set up to take G-forces laterally. Ask any football player that may have died from having their aorta ripped from them when they were hit from the side. Sounds like that's kind of strange, but it has happened in the past. It's also happened to a couple of fighter pilots that got hit by missiles in the side that didn't actually knock out the plane, but took out the pilot. A rare occasion, but it has happened. I'm going through the other configuration buttons here. One thing missing is there should be a map to the right, but it's not their job to do that. It would just be better customer service. They've done a great job with the keyboard mapping here. You can change any one of these things to be what you want it to be. And that's pretty much my how to set up my HOTAS system. Little answer to the question that was asked of me by Renegade Shank in the Star Citizen Addicts Anonymous thread in the subscribers 10. With that said, let's go on to a very short 5 for the CM, and I have to thank Ben a lot. He was very, very busy, as you can tell by the short answers. Welcome everybody to another episode of 5 for the SCM. No, he's not a software configuration manager. He's our senior well, what are you again? Community manager?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I think of you as having so many hats. I can't look at you as just doing one thing, you know?
It's definitely the case.
Yeah. So I'm going to touch on a couple of things of mine this week first, and then we're going to go into a couple of the things from last week and then ask one or two from this week. So last week, well, my questions actually have to do with gameplay. I actually spent the last few days in Arena Commander, and first off, I think that the game is turning out to be stellar, but I'm not that type of person that loves that arena-style play, and people, after this week's State of the Game that I did, were, and a large amount of people were agreeing with me, that they want to know what type of other gameplay styles will be introduced in the future, because right now it seems like the one that we're agreeing on is the most fun is, or I should say the two, are the ones where you have to team with other people, like Cooperative VAM Dual Swarm and the Capture the Core. So do you know of any other game modes that the Manchester group might be working on?
Well, I'm not at liberty to announce any game modes right now. But I will say that you'll be seeing a number of integrated game modes as we move forward, so stuff that involves FPS and Arena Commander at once.
Oh,
I'll
awesome.
agree with you. The arena combat stuff is not my thing either, but it's definitely the ideal test bed for a lot of what we need for the single player, for the story stuff. I know Chris would like to experiment with a lot of our game mechanics kind of the same way as we do AC, so he might put out a mining mode, a jump mode, just to get people interacting with our mechanics in a limited sense, but nothing specific to announce yet.
All right, I think what most of us are looking for is more reasons to team with people, and that's the big piece. Hey, what's up, James?
Definitely a big piece for us too.
All right.
Is, because that's why we created the organization system. We want people teaming up, so we'll
Sorry about that.
So, no worries.
Well, what I asked, and this is where it got lost, so it seems like you didn't answer the question, but you actually got deep into the question last week. So I'm going to ask you the question again. What are the ideas that you have currently on ways for us to earn credits in Arena Commander when that goes live?
Well, as for earning credits in Arena Commander, a lot of it is the stuff that kind of writes itself, Kill X number of Vandal, do this many assists, get this place in the racing. The big thing that I think will come with that is more competitive modes. So we'll have, a mode where everybody has the same ship with the same loadout. So it'll have its own leaderboard, and you'll have more of a reward for competing in, that sort of specific. He's in the Hornet League, the Aurora League, whatever. And I think we're going to kind of use it as a very early model for rewards in the game itself. The more risk you put out, the more reward you can get.
Okay. I'll give you a for instance. So from the 24th until the 12th of January, Gaijin on War Thunder had killed this many tanks in each one of these tanks, killed this many aircraft in each one of these aircraft, and at the end of it, they gave you a special plane or a special tank. So those type of things drive me to it. So I was hoping that that's something that you would pick up on at some point, but replace it with credits instead of a ship or weapons, Second piece is we touched on the show in that piece that we lost about how weapons are changing. And then I saw your announcement on Reverse the Verse that weapons are changing. You and I got a little bit deeper into it on how it's going away from classes into the way that they're attached to the ship. You called it a puck, I call it a pylon or a plug.
Well, those are actually two different things that they have the puck and the pylon right now. That's what we use to attach them. And then we plan to kind of make that system more detailed as there are more types of weapons. So maybe you need a different type of puck for a daily weapon, that sort of thing.
Okay.
As for the weapon classification system, what you know right now will be thrown out, and the designers are working on a better, more expansive system. We found the current system has some limitations as we get to larger ship classes, as we try to spec out turrets. So all that, class 1, size 1 terminology will be going away, and we will be detailing that shortly.
Okay. Now, a lot of these have to do with things that aren't out yet, so this week is going to sound like there's a lot of vague answers, because I know you guys don't like to give away things until it's out, so you don't make promises you can't keep. But what type of things should we be looking forward to that are going to change in the Org 2.0 drop? Now remember, a lot of these people don't go out to the forums to read what's already been there.
Org 2.0 is still a little bit down the road, but you'll have private forums for your organizations, some moderator rights so you can run those yourselves. They're doing something called the fleet view, so you can see all the ships in your organization, and that's kind of moving towards the point where we can have organization hangars, shared ships, that sort of thing. A lot of Org 2.0 is going to be kind of dropping in code that will be used in the persistent universe. How we actually start grouping people once you're in the game itself, and then crossover from the website to the game server.
Okay. Now, I don't know if it was on the forums or if it was in Reverse the Reverse, but you had stated that you are going to indeed allow people to melt their weapons that they bought on the, I guess that would be the Voyager Direct store. When we melt them, okay, tell me how that would work.
We have not made any sort of announcement there yet. It's something we're considering.
Okay.
We're kind of taking another look at Voyager Direct to see what would work best in light of kind of the past year of experience we've had with it, because we think it needs to be highlighted differently, and it needs to function a little bit differently as it starts to be a little bit more useful, and with test credits coming in. So no announcement yet, but changes will be coming.
All right, good. So that was the last piece. That's pretty much the questions for this week, so I'm going to take my liberty with another one. The flight models of some of the spaceship, somebody brought this to my attention, some of the spaceships seem to be unfinished in the game. That's true. But,
absolutely.
Yeah, I know that's true. But can you give us maybe this isn't a question for you, but could you give us insight on some of the newest ships that were released flight models, damage models, unlike the Cutlass and the Avengers, seem to be just a little bit off. Is that something that was put out there before they were done, just so we can make that mark?
Well, in the case of the Cutlass and the Avenger, they are evolutionary dead ends, since both those ships are going back for being redeveloped under the new system. So we wanted to get something out there that people who flew those ships could play with.
All right.
So it's not a case of us putting them out early. It's a case of us putting out something we weren't going to use.
Okay, that's fine. Kind of like the original. All right, I gotcha. All right, Ben.
Which it's not uncommon. I mean, people, if you saw the average amount of assets that are never used in any game, it would drive you crazy. But it's totally normal to redo something 5 times until you have the one you ship with. You just normally don't see it.
All right. Now, we're trying to drive a little bit more traffic towards Arena Commander. That's what I've been doing with my videos recently. And we have a suggestion, and we're wondering, well, a couple of us are wondering if you would pick up on this. Each week you have an MVP that you talk about on Around the Verse. Is there any way you could talk about leaderboards at some point in the future on Around the Verse, so we could start generating that, that excitement around Arena Commander?
Yes, yeah, you'll see a lot more Arena Commander going forward. We're in a little bit of flux these couple weeks as we're switching editorial teams for the show. So you have a couple of vanilla episodes, and then we want to have more game footage. We want to have more kind of immediate news. It's one of those. I think right now our editor is in another state, so we have to shoot everything Monday, and it's not timely anymore. So we're going back and forth getting that system back up to speed. Hopefully 2 or 3 weeks we'll have everything cleared up.
All right. So you'll be away next week. So next week there will not be a 5 for the CM. Will you be back?
You may be able to catch me from Austin. Dial in, see if you can get me.
I will dial in and see if I could get you. What would be a better day? Earlier in the week, because later in the week it's PAX East, right? PAX South, I mean.
Well, yeah. Friday's going to be PAX South. Wednesday I'm going to be out of Port Alarium, so Monday or Tuesday afternoon. Hopefully.
All right, that's good. I will try to hit you Tuesday afternoon. Ben, thank you very much for joining me. You take care, and I'll talk to you next week, hopefully.
All right, talk to you soon.
Bye. And that concludes the 6th episode of 5 for the CM. One thing I'd like to ask all of you is if you could submit the questions to me in email from now on. Submit them to theaddictedgamer@gmail.com and put 5 for the CM question inside of the subject field. I think that will be much easier than me going through all of the different comments out there. Ben has given his time to make sure that we get our opportunity to ask these questions. I am hopeful that you will inundate me with tons of emails so I can pick through them to ask Ben these questions over the next few weeks. Thank you all for joining me, and with that said, you all be safe out there, and I'll talk to you soon.